Shrinking Season 3, Episode 6, Recap. Derek's medical emergency and a looming crisis. Warning: spoilers for Shrinking Season 3, Episode 6 ahead. Shrinking Season 3, Episode 6. Derek's Don't Die once again encourages its characters to move forward, though this time it's a bit bittersweet. In the previous episode of the Apple TV series, Liz was desperate to get her son Matthew to talk to her after he overheard her say she was embarrassed by him. It really was a horrible thing to say, but Matthew is overdue for a rude awakening, though he remains unwilling to hear it. Shrinking Season 3, Episode 5 also saw some difficulties on Gaby's end, since she came close to breaking things off with Derek when she began to feel they were getting a bit too serious. Paul has had a lot of momentum this season as well. After getting cleared to return to work, he decided it was time to retire on his own terms. This naturally had a significant impact on Jimmy, especially when Paul's daughter Meg revealed that she asked her father to move to Connecticut with her. There is a lot up in the air here still, but Jimmy remains desperate for a last moment of appreciation and approval from Paul ahead of his big retirement. Speaking of Jimmy and Meg, they ended things off in Shrinking Season 3, Episode 5 on a pretty explosive note. Jimmy had said he wanted just one uncomplicated kiss to give him hope for his dating future. In a shocking twist, okay, maybe not so shocking, Meg delivered. The episode ended with the pair passionately heading to bed, setting the stage for the start of Shrinking Season 3, Episode 6. Jimmy and Meg's kiss was anything but uncomplicated. Kissing Paul's daughter was of course not a great idea, and sleeping together certainly didn't make it any better. Meg is also married, so this episode of Shrinking naturally sees Jimmy begin to spiral out of control. Meg makes him feel a little better when she reveals she is separated from her husband, who has already begun dating other people. Still, Jimmy can't help but act weirder around Paul. Meg ultimately confesses to Paul that she is separated and decides to give her marriage one last chance in the ending of Shrinking Season 3, Episode 6. Despite the discomfort, Jimmy concludes that his moment with Meg really did give him some hope. It wasn't uncomplicated in the traditional sense, but unlike Jimmy's hookups with Gaby, there is a mutual lack of feelings here. Perhaps going into the next episodes of Shrinking, Jimmy will finally give Sophie a call. Among the biggest moments of Shrinking Season 3 is the birth of Brian and Charlie's baby girl Sutton. In Episode 6, we see the return of the infant's birth mother Ava, confirming that she remains involved with the family. We also see Brian confess to Ava and Liz that he has yet to tell his family that he has a daughter. It's a shocking revelation, though considering Brian's father's previous struggles, accepting his son's identity, it's at least a bit understandable. Jimmy gives Brian a solid nudge in Episode 6, calling Brian's dad for him, so he has no choice but to finally give the news. It goes better than Brian ever anticipated. Without any questions asked, his dad is overjoyed to learn that he is a grandpa. Later in Shrinking Season 3, Episode 6, we see the older man cooing over Sutton on FaceTime. A couple of episodes back in Shrinking Season 3, Derek accidentally consumed a boatload of cannabis-infused gummies. After starting some beef with a department store mannequin and calling everyone he knew to warn them that they may be targeted by some secret organization, Derek headed for the hospital to wait out the massive high. While there, the doctors flagged what could be an issue with his heart. Episode 6 sees Derek get that EKG he was ordered. The EKG results immediately alarm Derek's doctor, and he is ordered to head to the hospital right away. As it turns out, he has a blockage that could result in a widowmaker heart attack at any moment. Derek has to go in for emergency bypass surgery, and despite Liz's aggressive positivity, there's a very real possibility that he won't make it through. Derek's medical emergency really shakes the group in Shrinking Season 3, Episode 6. They all feel the need to hold one another a little closer as they wait out the hours ahead of news of his fate. Even Liz resolve cracks as she has a rare emotional moment expressing just how much she needs her husband. Derek is a positive fatherly force of someone the group couldn't handle losing. As the characters of Shrinking Season 3 await news about Derek, we see a brief tease regarding Gaby's future. Her boyfriend Derek, too, is briefly seen holding a ring box. We already knew he was feeling pretty serious about their relationship, and despite her freakout in Episode 5, Gaby granted Derek permission to start thinking about their future together. As it turns out, he took her pretty seriously. It's unclear how Gaby will react to a proposal from Derek. There is no question that she is in love with him, and she moved past her cold feet in the previous episode. Still, this all really is a bit fast. If Derek does decide to pop the question, Gaby may jump right back into freakout mode. This time, however, it wouldn't necessarily be an irrational reaction. After forcing us to consider whether shrinking would actually kill off Derek, Episode 6 finally revealed that the surgery went well. Just before this, however, there is a big breakthrough for Liz and Matthew's relationship. Earlier in the episode, Jimmy agrees to take on Matthew as a patient. However, the 24-year-old proves completely reluctant to improve his life or even admit that anything is wrong. When Derek goes in for surgery, Jimmy decides that he has had enough. He goes to Matthew and asks whether he plans to remain stagnant forever, a question Liz asked him following his year in the gutter. Jimmy throws aside the gentle approach and demands that Matthew go to the hospital to be there for his mom. It turns out to be exactly what Matthew needed. For the first time in Shrinking, we see this character behave like an adult. He shows up for his mom and begins to care for her, finally healing the rift between them. It might have taken a big scare to make it happen, but Liz, Derek, and their sons are closer than ever. Trigger warning: this section contains discussions of suicidal ideation and self-harm. Derek's successful surgery might have left Shrinking Season 3 Episode 6 off on a high note. However, the final scene foreshadowed a new crisis for Episode 7. Just as Gaby arrived at the hospital, she got a call from her patient Maya, whom she has been working with for much of Season 3. Maya has been struggling with intense loneliness, as the majority of her close friends have gotten married, had kids, and generally moved in different directions with their lives. We see her reach a low moment in Episode 6, while looking at social media posts from these old friends. Feeling herself slipping into depression, she calls Gaby. But when she learns her therapist is visiting someone in the hospital, she assures her that her troubles can wait until their next session. The last we see, Maya, she is sitting anxiously on her couch drinking wine. She appears to be at the edge of something, perhaps suicidal ideation, and without someone there to help, she is at risk of hurting herself. Gaby is, of course, completely unaware of Maya's state of crisis. We can only hope that Shrinking Season 3 Episode 7 sees these characters break through.